See how fast this car is? Hey guys, it's Glenn from Glenn'sCarCollection.com, and we are driving one of my favorite cars, the Porsche 992 Carrera S. And this has something we haven't driven in any 992 yet, a manual transmission. So we did a review on the new GT3. We didn't drive it. That car sold pretty quickly. We've done the Turbo S, the base, the S, the convertible. So what we haven't done is the manual transmission. Unlike my base 991.1, the base cars no longer come with manual transmissions, PDK only. So to get the manual, Porsche makes you step up to the S, or I believe the 4S. So let's take a look at this car before we drive it. You grab the door handle here, it opens up. Now this goes the front trunk and the rear trunk. We have the Insignia here, Carrera. So wow, when you open it, it actually goes into your seating position. So actually, let's look at both while we're here. Beautiful dark red interior. Here is the trunk of the car, or they call the front trunk, also known as the frunk. It's actually pretty deep. It's actually deeper in rear drive models. So if you have all-wheel drive, you have some structure here and it won't be as deep, but the rear drive, it's actually a pretty big trunk. And then you have like your tow hook and stuff in here. The battery is up here, if I remember correctly, like my car. So I can actually fit my hockey bag in here, believe it or not. I take the skates out and the helmet and I put that inside the car. Of course, the 6 inside the car, but all my pads would fit in this trunk. I've done it even on when I had my 996 and my current 991. I love this color combo with the black metallic and the dark red seats. Now, there's not much to show off to your friends with the engine. They're all 3-liter turbocharged motors, different tunes of horsepower. So the S model gets a bump up over the base. It's 443 horsepower. I believe the base is 390. And then you can do your fluids here, your oil here. So not much to see there. Now, this isn't actually the spoiler. I said this in some other videos. All the 992s have this. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. And then you can do it the other way. So 9, 11. Now, the spoiler that goes up at speed, which I believe is still 75 miles an hour, is right here. So we just open the engine compartment. Not much to see but the fans and just filling fluids. And then over here, this would be the spoiler up speed. And it actually goes up differently, if I remember, like on my car, if the sunroof is open or not. All right, so Porsches, what do you get? The S, you get upgraded brakes. Ceramics are optional. If they were ceramics, they would be yellow calipers. So the S brakes are red. The base brakes, like my car, are black. On any of the cars, I believe even the base model, you can step up to ceramics. All right, so let's go inside here. Now, this has the permanent key, like some of the other 992s, where you would just turn this key to start it. We have the key fob, and we will put it in the cup holder. So let's close this. We'll put our seatbelt on just so we don't get that annoying noise when we ding 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 when we start it. So here, starting up the car. Now this car has the sport exhaust. How do you know? We press this button here and it's a hot day, so I'm going to lower the air conditioning. This has probably the most powerful air conditioning list sound wise that I've ever heard. So here we have heated and cooled seats. This is your parking brake on and off. Glove compartment here, you have your USB ports, heated and cooled seats for the passenger. I believe those are all optional. Stick shift. So even on the GT3s now, they have the stick shift, or they changed the automatic. Instead of that razor, they made the automatic look like a stick shift. So you really have to look closer to GT3, because you'll look at any 992 GT3 and go, oh wow, it's a stick. It probably isn't. It's probably an automatic. You'll have to look. So here it's a 7-speed, just like my 991. My only gripe with the 7-speed is not that it has 7 gears, is that there's 5 to the top and 3 to the bottom. So you have 5 gates up top which are narrow, not always the easiest to get into, and 3, wider ones on the bottom. It doesn't make that much sense. I think it would be better maybe they reverse down here and it'd be 4 on 4. Now this has Sport Chrono like my car. So what does Sport Chrono mean? Sport Chrono means that you have automatic rev match. I believe you can shut it off. Now my car, my 2017 Carrera, which is a base, is a stick, and I always said if you couldn't get a GT3, get the base model just for that reason, because you can get a stick shift in rear drive. This is rear drive, but you have to step up to the S to get the stick. So what I like about this car is, and I don't have it, so if you don't have Sport Chrono, you get rev matching, which I'm going to demonstrate when we take it for a drive in a few minutes. And my car doesn't rev match because I do not have Sport Chrono. Mine is pretty much as base as it comes, so any rev matching you hear in my videos, I'm rev matching myself. So we can release the parking brake here. Very easy to go through the menus. I've done this before, so I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on it. We're not searching for our phone here. See, they want you to sign in and do everything now, so you have like an ID. I'm not that crazy about that, but I'm sure I'm the only one that thinks that way. You have some controls here for your HVAC. Most important now, so even though you have the Sport Chrono up here on the dash, and again, if you have Sport Chrono, you have rev matching, you could play around with Sport, Sport Plus, individual mode. And on the 992, what's great is there's even a wet mode. I'm a little too close, so I'm going to move my seat back. I love the steering wheel. I think it's the perfect size, a great 9-3 grip. You could do 10-2 as well. The Porsche insignia, so everybody knows you spent the money, or at least you do. And then you have your cruise control buttons down here. Mirror controls are down here. Lock and unlock over to the side here. Your safety as far as your lights here. Again, the permanent key. So what I like about this is the Cayman and Boxsters have 3 gauges. Now we're using the navigation here on this gauge here, and we can play around to it to all kinds of things. See how much gas we have. All our temperatures, if we're going on a spirited drive, the battery. But what I love about, so now you see the 5 gauges here, right? So on the Boxster and Cayman, you only have 3. On the 911, you always have 5, and it's always pretty much been that way. And what I love is the middle one, which is still front and center tack, like my 993 Turbo, or even my car now. This is analog, where the rest are digital. So you still have 1 analog gauge. And again, the miles per hour here, they show it in 25-mile increments. Every one of these little lines is really 5-mile increment. So it's just easier because you're looking at the tack anyway, especially if it's a manual or if you're using the paddles on a PDK. And then here you could see your miles per hour. So I really just look at the center gauge. All right, so let's take it for a spin. It is a hot day today, but the air conditioning is so powerful in this car, you won't be able to hear me talk. Now we'll go to some good driving roads, and I'll also demonstrate the rev matching that it does, and if it's better with the manual transmission. All right, so we got the Sport on. What I'm gonna do is press the dial now and put us in Sport Plus, and we'll take around these turns. So Sport Plus heightens the throttle response. You could put an individual mode, and then you can kind of play with the individuality of it. That's probably how I would do it. I usually go in the most aggressive throttle, but the most tame suspension, because New Jersey roads are crap to begin with. The last thing I want is a harder suspension. If I was on the racetrack, then I would definitely go for it. Now, even just 1 or 2 shifts in, I can feel the difference. It's so much more visceral. The PDK is definitely faster for sure, but I think this is way more visceral, way more fun with this shifting, rowing your own gears. Now the clutch is nice and light, but I don't feel it that much where it's actually catching. All right, so now we're gonna downshift. It's gonna rev match 4. So that was the car, not me. I didn't touch the gas there at all. Now, unfortunately, our favorite road with all the turns is under construction today. Figures. Tim finally got me a manual 992, and now I can't take it through the twisties. But we've done that with every other 992. So let's drive this way. Now, with that 443 horsepower, this car is really fast. I know the PDK cars are pretty much close to 3.1 seconds 0 to 60, and I had a McLaren 570S with a similar 0 to 60 time, and I would say that the Carrera S with PDK was just as fast as my McLaren 570S, and a lot more reliable. So what I love about Porsches is they're very smooth around town. This can easily be your daily driver, and honestly, here's a speed bump, so we'll test it out here. And I believe on the Carrera S's and higher, you can get the nose lift. correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. And while you're commenting, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Like and share this video so our channel can grow. And as always, leave a positive comment below. So the 992s, the reason I see them as a daily driver is now there's, say, a wet mode. It's very comfortable. It's a size bigger. When I first drove these cars, and I've gotten used to the size, it was almost to me like a two-door Panamera. So I think that helps for a daily driver because it's big enough to be comfortable. You can take it on 2-hour trips. As you know, I'm a commercial real estate broker, and I might have to go 2 hours for a showing in each direction. So having a slightly bigger car to stretch your legs is certainly very important. So the problem is in New Jersey, once it turns spring, it turns into road construction season. And no matter where we go, it's road construction. I'm going to make it a little... turn on the air a little more because it's hot. Now, if I put it on auto, listen to this, how loud this car is. All right, so I'm going to put it on auto. I'm going to raise the temperature. You've never heard a more powerful air conditioning than this. Right? I'm lowering it now just because you wouldn't be able to hear me talk at all. So again, the clutch is nice and light, which I like. I think that helps the daily driver aspect of it. What I don't like is it's hard to kind of, and I'm sure you get used to it, it's hard to feel where the car is actually catching, where the clutch is actually catching. Handling on this car is pretty amazing. I mean, yes, it's way more electronic, say, than my 993 Turbo by far, but it could really... confidence inspiring. Even if all the cars I own now, I think my 911 is the one I feel most comfortable driving quickly. All right, so we'll get some turns here. See, wow, this car, it really gets the power down too. So Porsche horsepower 443 is better than, like, you know, 500 or 700 in a Demon or Hellcat or a Red Eye. And the reason for that is all that horsepower gets to the ground, right? So the old saying is power is nothing without control. And you don't have to worry about getting sideways with this car because it'll get every one of those 443 horsepower to the ground. Now, normally on any 911, if you can't afford the GT3, I tell you, get a base manual, and especially like my 2017 base manual, you could always tune it and make a lot more horsepower. Unfortunately, you got to step up to the S here and pay a lot more money, and that's the only way you can get the manual. But look at it this way, you'll pay more money for the S, but you don't have to pay that $5,000 or so that they charge for a PDK. See, I tried to rev match there for a second, and I totally forgot that it'll rev match for me. So again, clutch nice and light, very easy to go through the gears. Now, as we bring this down, the RPMs, the shifting is almost imperceptible here. See that? So it just rev matched it. You would never know that. Let's try to... Now, there is some more road noise in these cars, so you'll see a lot of videos, and we're not close to a highway. If you drive on the highway, you will hear a lot of tire noise. So if you're coming from like an S-Class and you go, well, I always wanted a 992, and I'm going to drive it on the highway and take phone calls, it might not be the best car for that. But as far as fun and smiles per gallon, you will absolutely love this car. And the stick totally transformed the car. I just feel like I'm having, even though the other one is crazy fast with the PDK, even the base is very quick with the PDK. We just reviewed a base car not that long ago. What really makes this car exciting is the just what we're doing now, just going through the gears. So even around town, we're going to go through some traffic here probably and some lights. It's just so easy to drive this stick. The clutch is so light, and I just feel like I'm doing something. So, you know, when you're taking this car, and I believe you can shut the rev matching off too, so if you want to even make it a step more visceral, but it's got the hill descent, so you don't roll back on hills. It's actually, I think, clutch based actually. And see how fast this car is? Just that turbo shove makes a difference. So I'm a naturally aspirated guy 100%, but on 911s, probably because I had the 993 turbo, I like my 911s turbocharged. So I would love to have a 997 turbo. I love my 991.2 turbo. I love the 992s because they're turbo. I just think Porsche, cars are unbelievable turbochargers. That pull you get at low RPM. And I love, you know, revving my S2000 to the moon and stuff like that. And but I prefer the 992s and the 991.2s much better than the naturally aspirated 991.1s. And I'm probably the only one in the minority. I'm probably in the minority of that. I think most people would probably disagree with me. Now, as far as rev matching goes, I prefer rev matching my own gears, but when you're driving around town like this, it just makes a lot of sense if it has the rev matching. It just makes it easier to drive stick. You know, with cars not driving, rolling back on hills, and you don't have to rev match them, there's really no reason not to take a manual transmission, because if there's any time to learn it, this is the time to do it, because it took probably the two hardest things about driving stick out of the equation. Now, the steering wheel, as you can see, does block the gauges, so good thing you only need to look at one of them, which is the tachometer with the speedometer in it, because you really can't see too much of anything else. Like, I can't really see how much gas is left unless I really look closely. All right, guys, that's the end of our video. Thanks again for watching. Remember, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Special thanks to DCH Acura for providing this car.